We are starting to read the hand of a particular person who is aged 44. He'll be completing 44 in September, and we'll be reading his hand. Before I start my video, I would request you to press the bell icon and don't miss another update. You can get a paid palmistry reading by calling me, or you can basically phone me. The numbers and the email are mentioned out here. Now we straight away head to this particular hand image to give the reading. This is basically the right hand, and in the right hand I'm going to basically briefly go about the important lines that I see on his particular palm. The main lines I would be talking about. The first important line is basically this particular line. It's running parallel to the heart line. This is basically the heart line, and it's running parallel. So this basically line is the line, the name is Girdle of Venus, and Girdle of Venus is it's not a necessary line. It's basically a line that few people have it, and basically it might make us hysterical, and uncontrolled emotions and more emotional nature it's going to come about. So in day-to-day life, this line is not necessary if the person is working in some particular line where these qualities are required. Like, if let's assume that if a person is a photographer and some special type of photography or maybe is required, there the person is able to display their skills in a much better way compared to the normal life. In normal life, this basically is kind of a disturbing kind of a line. So this line is a avoidable kind of a line that can be there. The other part is that the heart line appears to be much longer, and it's reaching the Mount of Jupiter. Out here there's a little bit of confusion that if this is basically the continuity of the heart line, or there's another line that is coming from here and reaching the Mount of Jupiter. Let us basically take the left hand right now. Probably we can come to know few things by looking at the left hand. Even in the left hand, you would notice that the heart line appears to be very long and reaching the Mount of Jupiter. So even in the right hand, it could be indicative that this is basically the heart line. See, why I am seeing the left hand, people would say that in males we should see the right hand and not the left hand, but both hands show similarities in most of the cases, but in few cases they could be drastically different. So in this particular case, a long heart line basically indicates the person is very emotional by nature, and the person could be highly sensitive, and the person could be highly idealistic, and this is what they want in their life. So people who have higher expectations, people who have the heartline reaching the Mount of Jupiter, means they have a higher expectations, and higher expectations will never be fulfilled. See, these people are they could be very possessive also, idealistic also, and they might not, and they are looking for an ideal situation in life. There is no ideal situation. There are only real situations that you have to basically face. So where do we see that the real situations are going to be? This is basically the area of Saturn. If the hard line had reached only till the Mount of Saturn, then it would mean the person is grounded, the person is realistic, and the person is able to manage money much better compared to when the heart line reaches the first finger. So you would notice that we are not talking about the money line, but yet I'm talking about the money part in our life, but just by looking at the person's heart line. So this is the reason why heart line becomes very important. The heart line plays a major role in our life. It tells about, can we handle stress, can we handle anxiety, because this is the thing where the person might go down, because some people are anxiety prone, and basically those people who are anxiety prone are likely to lose the opportunity when the opportunity arrives. If there's stress and anxiety, the person might the person could could feel that it's no point trying, and they would say that it's like stress is going to develop and anxiety is going to develop, and they are likely to lose that particular opportunity. But although the line of heart is long, although it is long, but yet there's clarity on the heart line. So clarity on the heart line gives some kind of purpose in their life. And the because some people who have the heartline like this kind, broken kind, unhazy, unclear kind of a line, they would be never clear as to what they want to do, and they would not be able to dedicate themselves. But because the heartline is simple, deep and clear, it means that the person would be able to dedicate themselves. And people who dedicate themselves or commit themselves are the ones who are likely to be successful. So this is the first part. The other area that is very important, very important for success, is basically the line of Mercury. This is basically the line of Mercury going towards the Mercury Mount. The Mercury Mount, although it is not so prominent, if you would notice, if I compare 2-3 mounts out here, the first mount is the mount of Jupiter, the second is Saturn, the third is Sun, and the fourth is Mercury. So we don't want the Saturn mount to be very padded area. It should be very well padded. It shouldn't cave in, nor should it be very padded area. So nor is it padded, nor is it caving in. So in that case, it is a good sign. The most important, most padded area appears to be under the first finger. This is the finger of Jupiter, and this is the mount of Jupiter. So Jupiter mount, whenever prominent, it would kind of make them expansionist. Why we say expansionist? Because Jupiter is a big planet. Big planet basically means growth, expansion in one's life. See, these are very subtle things, very small things that we are seeing on the palm, and these kind of remain throughout their life. It's not that when the person is young only then these things are going to apply. Whichever area we find the area to be prominent, that area, whenever prominent, brings in those particular qualities. So Jupiter indicates the qualities of organizational skill, political understanding of things. They are growth oriented, they are seeking honor, and they want an honorable position in their life. And wherever they go, basically they try to create an organization. So this area is, whenever prominent, they are always on a growth oriented path. So this is a beautiful sign to have, the first area. But if you look at this particular area, you would notice that it is not so well padded compared to the first finger. It is not so well padded. But even then, and this is an important area. This is the mount of Mercury, and this is for our memory as well. So if this area is very well padded, our memory is very strong. Like, we are able to remember things, and people who can remember things or correlate with things, or this is also the area of your communication and technical skills, communication, calculation and technical skills. So those things increase in our life. But this area is not padded, but at the same time there appears to be no as such negative kind of line. There is a positive kind of a perpendicular kind of a line, and a long line going from near the money line and reaching the mount of Mercury. It doesn't have to reach totally till here, but even if it's somewhere till your headline, even then it's basically good enough. So in this way it is considered to be good. And now we take a look at the other aspects. I just take a look at some other hand image and then I'll get back to you. This is let's take this particular hand image. What we also find out here, that although the heart line is very long, but at the same time we have to compare it to the person's headline. This is basically the headline. So you would notice that the length of both the lines as such is long. So what is going to happen is that they are going to be mentally strong also, headstrong also, as well as emotionally also. So sometimes what's going to happen is that where they have to apply their heart, they might apply their mind, and places where they need to apply their mind, they basically use their heart. So this is one problem the person could face, and this arises more due to the person having this line that is running parallel out here. So this could be the cause of problem to some extent. The other aspect is the main money. This is basically the main money line, and it kind of touches the heart line out here, and it kind of ends out here. So this is the point where it ends. So the intersection of the heart line and the money line is age 53. That's the approximate age. So this age is basically age 53. So it kind of creeps a little bit ahead. So we would say that the money line kind of ends somewhere at the age of 54, 55. That's the rough age. But at the same time, you would notice that another line, I'm just zooming in, another line basically develops somewhere in the middle of the head and the heart, and this portion, the new money line develops. So this money line develops somewhere at the age of 44. Why we say 44? Because the intersection of the money line and the headline is age 35, intersection of heart line and the heart line and the money line is age 53. So somewhere in the middle is going to be 44 age. So at the age of approximately 44, 45, that's when something new is going to take place in this particular person. That this is just an approximate age, and the line that basically the person picks up during these particular years would become the more important line, and it's going to continue somewhere till the age of let's say 62, 63. Beyond that, there's another line that basically develops and goes straight away to the mount of Saturn. Now on the mount of Saturn, you don't need to have any very special kind of lines. Try to understand, Saturn is one mount where you don't need any line at all. Even if you don't have a money line, even then I would say that it is a good sign, provided there are no lines at all. Some people, they might have very, very thin kind of lines, these kind of lines. So it is of no use, even if they are like forming a very, very special kind of a symbol. It is of no use at all. Just simple lines, just simple standing lines are considered to be the best kind of possibilities that the person can have. It's because Saturn is a very, very slow moving planet. Saturn revolves around the sun, and it takes a very long time to complete the circumference around the sun. So if there are too many lines crisscrossing over out here, so what's going to happen is it's going to create more delays in a person's life. So having less lines is always considered to be good than having more lines on the mount of Saturn. So so in this way, so the person could expect a change right now, and the person could expect another change. So see, the new line is starting, the third line is starting somewhere at the age of 54, 55, but in this particular portion, the line is comparatively, so in the earlier period, the person that's the new work the person is going to start might not be so good, but as the person grows older, it is going to become much better and better and better. So this is what we see by looking at the money line. Another line that can be seen is that this particular line that we see out here, and there are few V-like portions out here. There's a triangle-like portion also formation out here. So triangle-like, and this is all happening before, this portion is before the age of 35. So triangle on the money line could mean property. On the money line itself, a square-like formation could again basically mean property. So after the age of 35 as well, these things, there are indications. So in this way it is good. Apart from that, there's this main money line that you see out here, and another line is kind of, although it's pointing towards the mount of Sun in the initial phases, but then it kind of tilts more towards the Saturn part. So this is all happening after the age of 35. So beyond 35, the Sun line kind of tilts towards the Saturn, and Saturn is for money, so more money is likely to come about, and maybe a parallel income might have developed during that particular years. When we look at the money line, we also have to look at the sun line. So in the initial phases, this is the before the age of 35, this portion, and then we find again this portion, the line is very, very dim. This portion, the line is dim before the age of 35. This portion also we find the line to be dim, and in the halfway mark between the head and the heart line, this is the point where the line becomes a little bit prominent and it gains in strength. So I'm just going to remove them, and you would notice again. So whenever we find the lines to be a little bit dim, it means that there could be doubts, or it could mean that the person is not energizing their work. It could also mean that that the person, I try to correlate very dim kind of lines to lines. I correlate dim lines to be something like it is kind of the person is there are lots of clouds in the sky, and when there are lots of clouds and you are not able to see the sun, it means the sun is not able to energize the earth, and because they are not able to energize the earth, so the plants do not grow faster. So same case happens with when the line is dim. Even with a good line of Mercury, even with a good line of money, sometimes the person may lag behind. So but this portion of the life, the line is becoming, see, even in this portion the line is not so good, and then beyond this the line becomes very, very prominent. So apart from the main sun line, there's another line kind of coming from the mount of Mars. This is the Mars positive area, this is the Mars negative area, and this is the plains of Mars. So this area is known for tenacity, coolness and calmness, and if the line comes from this particular area, it means the person would get name and fame due to these particular qualities that I've just mentioned. In the initial phases, if we look at the money line basically starts from the mount of Moon, then basically it breaks. It is kind of a wavy like portion, and it kind of basically ends somewhere out here, and a new line basically kind of again forms, and that too is forming from the mount of Moon. So benefits coming to the person from help from females, help from either female relatives, it could be mother, it could be sister, it could be wife, it could be daughter, or associating with unknown people or foreigners. This is where the benefit basically lies for this particular person. And the mount of Moon is also known for trading activity, service industry, benefiting from water. So all these qualities basically come to this particular person, and they should basically respect the woman much more. The woman's luck is basically going to fall upon this particular person. So the break that we see out here in the earlier phase is somewhere around the age of 27, 28. That's the approximate age that I can guess out here, and this is the heart line. These branches that we see, these are not so good because they are touching the headline, so some amount of distractions could be there. And before I end this video, one more thing I need to add out here, the lifeline we are talking about. You would notice in the initial phases of this particular lifeline, all the aspects of the hand I'm trying to correlate to the money part, and I'll give an explanation how it is. So in the initial part of the lifeline, if we say this is the line, the gradual line, if we say the predictable place, could have been something like this. But what happens is, during this particular period, you would notice that the line is making a bigger semicircle, so more coverage area comes to the mount of Venus. See, Venus is a very, very important planet. People basically consider it for sexuality, but I consider it for the energies that we require to be successful. And if we lack in this particular area, if this area is not padded, I find this area to be reasonably well padded and has got a bigger surface area or areas. By bigger surface area, I mean something like you have got a 1 acre plot and somebody else has got a 2 acre plot. So it means 2 acre plot would be able to like harvest and have a bigger crop than a 1 acre field. So if the lifeline has got a smaller semicircle, the person has got a smaller area. If the person has got a bigger semicircle of the lifeline, then the bigger area, more energies. So energies apart from, see, we talked about money line, sun line, Mercury line, skill line, but all these are not going to come about if the person does not have a good Venus. And Venus is basically for energy and stamina and vitality and our desires. So the desires are going to be intense, and because the desires are intense, the chances for basically success increases for this particular person. And just before I end my video, I'm just going to briefly look at the left hand once more. And in this case, there's a line that appears to be a little bit different. It appears to be somewhere out here. This is the headline. In the initial phases, the headline is moving upward towards the Mount of Jupiter. That is good. That is good for government service or anything to reach up to a high position and honor. Then there's also a backward line out here somewhere before the age of 35. There are few problem lines that come and touch somewhere at the age of, let's say, 30, 32. That's the approximate age. Now what happens is that the intersection of the money and the headline, this is basically the headline. So this intersection could be age 35. So before the age of 35, something major takes place because the line is not predictable. The line should be gradual. Whenever a line basically changes course, it means some major changes might have taken place in the person's life. So that is a very, very like kind of a like some troubles could have taken place before the age of 35, and the person's whole thought process might have undergone total transformation. So this could be the aspect. In the left hand, we find that this is the sun line. Again, there are few breaks out here, and then beyond that the line becomes much more prominent and deep and clear. So that's a good indication. There are few perpendicular lines over the Mount of Mercury. There are no crisscrossing kind of lines. Perpendicular lines are considered to be good because they mean skill, and skills is what basically brings in success. One line I would be talking to you while I'm over the phone. So this is the line on both the hands I would be talking about, and because this is a line that is completely different, normally not seen in people's hand. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye and take care. Before I end my video, I normally repeat this thing in almost all my videos. People want to know about money, possessions, wealth. We can know about them from heart line, headline, lifeline, sun line, Mercury or Venus. Money line importance is just 15% in terms of money. A saint once said, you do not need to go to an astrologer or a palmist to know about your future, because you already know your future. Present is a result of past. How will be my future? Future depends upon what you are doing in the present. Thanks, bye and take care.